All right, once you have all of your value scales drawn, you want to make sure that you have your value scales labeled with a W for the white side of your value scale and a B for the black side of your value scale. The first value that you want to start with is the black value, and the first value technique that we're starting with is the blending technique. Now, when you are using the blending technique, you are going to hold the pencil near the eraser and you're going to hold the pencil sideways. You are going to use a wooden number 2 pencil because with the wooden number 2 pencil, you can use the length of the lead. If you're using a mechanical pencil, you really only get that point to work with. Even if you have lead pressed out, holding it sideways isn't going to allow you to work with more length of lead or graphite really. And so that's why I want you working with the wooden pencil. Now we're going to start with the black value, and I'm holding my pencil near the eraser, holding it sideways, and I'm just going to start filling in my square, making sure that I am overlapping my graphite. When you are shading, you should not space your graphite out like that. You should not be holding your pencil straight up and down because that can warp your paper if you're pressing down too hard, and you don't want to do that. You really just want to kind of use layers, and we'll eventually use more pressure after we get a few layers on here, but you want to make your value as dark as possible just by adding layers first, and then you can go back and add pressure if you need to. When you're shading in, you can turn your paper in any direction because you want to keep that value smooth. I'm going to keep going over it back and forth. I will never, ever, ever smooth my value out with my finger. I do not want you to use your finger to smooth your value out. That will make your paper look dirty and smudgy, and that is not the correct way to smooth out the value. The whole point of blending is to get a smooth value. And the way you will do that is by overlapping that graphite with your pencil. Using the pencil to smooth out the value. If you're creating a light value and you need to smooth it out, then you'll just use very light pressure when you're adding those layers. But you will not use your finger to smooth the value out. You want to make sure you stay inside the lines. So I'm going to continue going back and forth. I'm going to speed this video up just so you can see the process of creating that black value. All right, once you have your black value created, you want to create your other lighter values, and we're going to start with our darkest gray. And when you are creating your darkest gray, you're going to once again hold your pencil sideways and hold your pencil near the eraser. And you want to start by making that value way too light because it's always easier to make a value darker than it is to make a value lighter. If you need to make a value darker, all you have to do is add another layer of graphite. But if you want to make a value lighter, you can try to pick up a layer of graphite with your eraser, but you almost always end up having to completely erase that square and start over again. So we're just going to start off by making our values too light by not adding any pressure. I'm just holding my pencil sideways. I'm overlapping my layers of graphite to smooth out my graphite, because should we ever use our finger to smooth our graphite out? No, absolutely not. Okay, once I've got a nice layer down, I'm going to go ahead and move to my next box, and I'm going to try to create an even lighter layer of graphite. And these boxes here is the perfect time for you to practice creating that really light value, because once you get to your lightest box, you want to be able to create that light value without having to erase. Because once you do erase that box, it kind of messes with the integrity of your paper, and your first layer that you put down ends up looking, let me see if I have an example here. Okay, that first layer that you put down ends up looking like this, and you'll just have to start all over again, which I did. So you want to not have to erase the whole box, so let's just go ahead and practice creating the lightest gray possible. And once you fill in this box, you'll go ahead and move on to the next box and the next box and the next box. All the while trying to continually make your value as light as possible. And then you can go back and make your values darker. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this video up. Okay, once you get to this last box before the W you're going to leave completely white, so there should absolutely be no value in this box. So once we get to this, we want to try to make our value as smooth and light as possible on our first go, so we don't have to erase. Now, once again, I feel like this value that I'm creating is too light, and I will end up having to create another layer of graphite, which is totally fine. The last thing you want to do is have to erase and start over because you made your value too dark. So once I fill this box in, I'm going to look at my paper, judge where my values are, and when you do that, you always want to grab your paper and pick it up and hold it from a distance and kind of squint at your value scale to see if your values gradually change from black to white. Now, obviously, my values do not gradually change. There's a big change, a big jump from values here, and these values are too close together. These values are too close together, and this will all be fixed when I start making this value darker and adding more layers to this and this and this to make these values darker as well. And I'm going to speed up this video to show you exactly how I will do that. If you do make a mistake where you absolutely have to erase part of your value, I would not actually put the eraser on the paper and slide back and forth when you have to erase. What you would do is you would actually dab your eraser on your paper to pick up that graphite that you want to pick up, and that might save your value scale so you don't have to completely erase the square and start over. Okay. Okay, once you are done with your value scale, you are going to hold your paper away from you at arm's length, and you're going to squint at your value scale so you can check that your values gradually change from dark to light. There should be no two values that are similar side by side, and they should gradually go from dark to completely white. Your square right above the W should be completely white.